Okay, let's get going. Welcome back to the Impact Tech series of webinars for this fall 2021, leading up to our annual conference. I'm sure everybody's excited to attend our annual conference in San Francisco at the Hilton Union Square. The theme in 2022 is Impact Equals Innovation. We look forward to seeing you there. Getting paid on time is a ridiculously important topic in our industry and often elusive. And today, we're fortunate to have Gloria Lynn and Claire Wilson of Sightline with us. We try and pick out vendors to our industry that will directly impact, pun intended, your business. And Sightline is a company that is in the business of making the payment process much more efficient, and thus our contractors get paid on time. So we'll introduce Gloria and Claire in a second, but before we get there, let me go through a couple of housekeeping items. First, we monitor the Q&A box only down at the bottom of your screen. If you have a question, ask it at any time. We'll make sure all questions are answered in the course of the webinar. If for some reason we don't get to them, we'll make sure that Gloria and Claire get the questions, and they, as long as you identify yourself in the question, will be happy to follow up with you and answer your question. We're also going to post this to the Impact website either later today or tomorrow. If you go on there, you can see all of our webinars that we've done and catch up on those as well, but we'll have it on there in its entirety so you don't have to ask for the slides. Although we will upload the slides in PDF form again later on today. And what we're going to do is go through about a 25-minute presentation, and then we'll leave a few minutes for Q&A there at the end so that we can answer live. And of course, I'd be foolish not to mention and remiss that Sightline will have a booth at the Impact Annual Conference, again, February 20th through the 23rd at the lovely Union Square Hilton in San Francisco. So with that, I'd like to introduce Gloria and Claire. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Impact, so much for having us here today. We're really excited to be here and show you a different way of getting paid on time and handling your billing efficiently. So our agenda for today is going to be, we'll do some quick introductions, introduce ourselves to you so that you know who to look for when we see you in person at the Impact Annual Conference in February in San Francisco. We'll give you a brief overview of Sightline, and Claire will walk you through a live product demo. And finally, the most important part is to take your questions and make sure that we get to those. So hopefully you enjoy the presentation today and learn a little bit about how to streamline your billing process. So my quick introduction, I'm Gloria Lynn, CEO and co-founder of Sightline. My background actually is in software product development. I love building large-scale, boring financial infrastructure to make millions of lives easier. I was one of the co-creators of Apple Pay more than a decade ago when I worked at Apple. I was an early team member working at Stripe, the online payments giant, and I am now taking everything that I've learned about building easy-to-use, powerful software to the construction industry. My connection to this industry is that my dad was a trade contractor. So although I never worked in the family business, I saw for 30 years all the challenges and opportunities of being an owner of a trade contractor. And chief among these was really getting paid for him. So now kind of taking all that we've learned about building these systems to the construction world. And I'll hand it over to Claire to give her intro.
Great. Okay, now I'm mute. So my name is Claire Wilson. I am new to the software world. I come from construction. I studied civil engineering at Bucknell University in Pennsylvania, and then I went to work at Tishman Construction in New York City. So we were the general contractor on parts of Hudson Yards, and then JP Morgan's corporate headquarters in Midtown, so it's 270 Park, a couple blocks north of Grand Central. So two really exciting jobs to work on in Manhattan. And then I moved out to San Francisco to work with Gloria and the rest of our team. I work on kind of figuring out how to improve the product to fit the needs of our customers and make sure that the billing process is smooth for you guys.
speaking of making sure the billing process is smooth, Sightline exists to help contractors manage cash flow. Cash flow is the lifeline of any contractor's business, but getting paid is archaic and it's painfully slow. We started Sightline to really help contractors and empower them to grow their businesses and do what they do best, which is building. As you know, if everything goes perfectly smoothly, contractors are typically getting paid 60 days after the work is complete. Any small mistake or missing documentation can put that payment on hold for months, and you don't even know that there's an issue right away. That friction between payments can cause a lot of issues between the GC and the subcontractors. General contractors avoid working with trade contractors that struggle with paperwork because that burden gets passed on to the GC.
Yeah, and I experienced this firsthand as a general contractor in New York. Whenever I saw the subcontractor that I was managing, the owner, storming into my office, I knew it was something around money. So that was always kind of the issues that we had. And then also, when we were bidding out new projects, it was definitely something we considered when we awarded the contractor, because sometimes on these private jobs, we may have someone that came in at a slightly lower price, but we knew if we hire this contractor, it's going to be a lot of, we'd say like a lot of Tylenol on our side and a lot of time that it would take away from my role as project manager, just like helping them with their paperwork and making sure that they have everything in place in order to get paid, because we always wanted to keep the project going. So definitely something that general contractors consider as well when they hire subs.
So I'd love to introduce Sightline's solution to you and show you a different way of doing things. Excuse me. As you all know, the end of the month can be extremely stressful. All of your pay apps are due between the 15th and the 25th of the month. Your project teams are working off of various spreadsheets and PDF forms. Your back office teams are working late nights to hit deadlines. And when you look at your projects, they're kind of all over the place. A lot of times teams will have some projects that they're submitting manually via email, or even mailing to their owners or GCs. They have some in Textura or other GC portals. There's not one easy place to manage everything. What we've seen with our customers is that often companies have whiteboards and spreadsheets and a lot of email and phone tag. Everyone is stressed because one tiny mistake can hold up a lot of money. We've even met accountants who didn't bill a job for several months just because it fell through the cracks. They are handling so many things and billing for tons of jobs at once, so this is not that uncommon. So with Sightline, you have a central place with reminders and all the information you need to process billing efficiently. There is a standard workflow, so regardless of what your project's output requirements are, you're going to see just one standard way to input billing. It makes it super easy for project managers to go in and update what they want to bill for. And accountants can breathe a sigh of relief knowing that the status of each pay app is right there. Nothing can slip through the cracks without them knowing about it. Often we hear that the biggest headache or pain point around billings can be collecting lien waivers from your vendors or your lower tiers. You're required to send out a bunch of requests, track them down, and then submit them to the GC. Any errors or missing information can cause payment delays. We have talked to customers who used to have enormous spreadsheets that they would manually update. We actually had one customer who used to print out incomplete lien waivers. They'd be on a pile on her desk and she'd move them to a different pile physically once they were completed. With Sightline, deadlines and expiration dates no longer slip through the cracks. Anything that can put your payment on hold, that could be lien waivers, it could be compliance documents like certificates of insurance, they're all tracked in Sightline. So you don't have to stress about a minor missing piece of paperwork delaying your money. You're going to be reminded when you need to take action on things or if something's about to expire, and you can complete all of your requirements seamlessly. Claire mentioned that when she worked at a GC, she would receive backup from subs very piecemeal. So some would text her photos, others would email her things with no subject line, still others would drop off paper to her. That could be all from the same company. And that disconnect wasn't just an inconvenience to her. It really, those trade contractors that she worked with are really putting their payment schedule at serious risk because documentation requirements can be really strict on the owner and lender side. A really common cause of payment delays is if the owner doesn't receive all of the complete backup, then you have to get delayed into the next draw. We actually have one GC who's subsidizing the cost of Sightline for one of our customers, a trade contractor, because Sightline makes the GC's life easier. The GC no longer has to chase down backup or worry about the form not being populated properly that they have to send on to the owner and go through a big process to fix. With Sightline, you can fix that missing documentation before billing goes out to the GC. That means that you're extinguishing errors beforehand and reducing your payment risk. Finally, all too often, assembling the payment application is like an ancient rite involving tons of steps that require specialized knowledge. You are pulling up many systems from Word and Excel to email, phone, paper, shared drive, and hoping that you pull all the correct information into a package. And then you get to repeat that entire process, but in a really stressful, tight deadline when GC revisions come in last minute. With Sightline, you don't have to think about what forms are required, what lien waiver should you be using. Did you input the right project number? One of our customers described it as like magic. You just hit a button and it generates the billing package. It is a perfect billing package. Everything is there, it's organized, and it's complete. This customer said that her most complex billing package used to take her about half an hour per job per month to put together. Now she uses Sightline and it only takes her 5 minutes. Not only is she less stressed, the time she saved is going back into growing the business because the project managers that she works with are winning a ton more jobs lately. So it allows their company to scale and the back office to scale really efficiently as the business grows. Now that we've covered the benefits of using Sightline, I will hand it over to Claire to show you a live demo.
Okay, let me share my screen here. Okay, so Gloria kind of went over like all of the high level benefits of using Sightline, but let's just get into it and show you what our product actually looks like. So general contractors, they all have different requirements to get paid. Some of them use different portals, and you're forced to kind of deal with, okay, like what do we need to submit for this job? What do the forms look like? Where do we submit this project? And there isn't one unified tool that you can manage all of your pay applications. So that's where Sightline comes in. So you'll see our homepage. We try to keep it really simple. Just list all of the projects that you have, the general contractors you're working for, what's been billed to date on the job, and then the status of the current pay application. So you can see just really quickly like what you need to focus on, which ones have been submitted to the GC. Maybe you've submitted a draft and you're waiting for the GC to come back with comments. Invoice ready means that the project managers, so your field team, has updated what they want to bill for. So it's kind of a clue to your back office team that it's ready to put together that paperwork and submit it. So you can see like all the different statuses here if you're not billing for a job or not started. So it just helps everyone stay on that same page with the billing for the month. Also, I'm going to just do super high level here and just go kind of like a quick overview of the product. So if you have any specific questions, throw them in that Q&A and we can go into a bit more detail after. But essentially what we do is we work with your teams at the beginning of every job. We can also onboard midway through and figure out what exactly is required for that project. So you may have, if you're working with Trueback Construction, which is a big one in the Bay Area here, they have like an affidavit of subcontractor. So sometimes there's that additional form that you may forget to include in your pay app package. Or Excel Construction has their own specific lien waiver form that they require on their projects. So we put all of these forms in our database. We're continuing to grow our database of these general contractor forms, and that's what we'll spit out automatically for you with each pay application. And if the form is not in our database yet, we'll digitize it for you and add it to the system. So we have 3 modules. I'm first going to run through that billing module, which is our core module that helps you manage your pay applications. And then we also have compliance and vendors, which I'll show you after. So if you're jumping into a project, you'll see all of your pay applications to date, what you've billed for, which ones have been paid. We'll jump into September. And you'll have your overview page, which will give you kind of just high-level information of what is included in the package, what you've billed for, and you'll hit Start Billing. And this invoice page is the same for every single project that you're working on. So it doesn't change regardless of like if you're submitting it on Tickster or if you have a different form you need to submit. It makes it really like quick and easy for your team to just go through and update what they want to bill for. We also have a backup tab where you can drag and drop any sort of file that you want to include in that package. And then once you're ready to go, let's actually add a couple things in here. Maybe I'm 100% done with my general conditions. Fabrication is 80%. You don't have to worry about Excel formulas or anything. You'll just come back to this overview page and hit review and sign forms. And this is that magic button that Gloria was referencing, because it's just going to generate the package that's required for this project. You don't have to think about what you need, what forms, what lien waivers you're going to need for the project. Everything is just done here. And everything is going to be auto-populated properly. So we've worked with some customers that they're like, one accountant fills out the form one way, one accountant fills it out the other way, and it's often getting kicked back by the GC. So this just standardizes that workflow for you. So that's our billing process, similar to DocuSign. You're just going to go through and sign everything. But I'm actually going to jump back and take you into the compliance tool, because I know we don't have a ton of time. But again, if you have any questions on that pay app workflow, just drop them in the Q&A. So the next module is that compliance. So you can see all of your projects really quickly. Which ones do I need to focus on? Which ones have issues that could put our payment on hold? So you can see here, like each project at a glance really quickly. And you can jump into one specific project and just get access to all of the forms and documents that are required for that job. Maybe your monthly safety statement you need to fill out. So we can digitize any form and put it in our system so that your team isn't wasting time manually filling things out on Bluebeam, printing and signing and scanning. We try to streamline all of this for you. And we give a place where everything is stored in our system. You're going to get email reminders when things are going to expire. So there isn't that kind of panic moment of, wait a second, why weren't we paid for this pay application? It's been 90 days now. What's the problem? And you have to kind of follow the cookie, like the crumbs, and call the general contractor and say, what's the deal? And then you find out it was something that you could have easily fixed, like all they wanted was the change order log from that month or something, or maybe your labor rates have expired. So we try to give you a place that you can manage all of those requirements. Your whole team will have access to it, so nothing slips through the cracks there. So that's our compliance module. And then the last one is going to be this vendor module. So this will help you manage all of those requirements from your lower tier subcontractors and vendors. So oftentimes you're required to collect lien releases from them on the project. So you have to generate your conditional and unconditional, which we'll automatically do for you in the system, but we'll also help collect and manage all of those lower tier documents as well. So you can see I sent out a bunch of requests for the month of July. Maybe I just paid my vendors for July. I need all of those unconditional progress lien waivers from them. And everything is updated like automatically. You can see if they have viewed the document, if they've signed it, if you submitted it to the GC already. So it kind of helps you stay on top of all of those things. So you can see on a per project basis, which is the view I have right now, or you can jump over to the tracker side. I know what's happening. You can also see on a vendor side, so not just on that per project. You can look at by vendor. Maybe we want to look at Hanson Rigging. What's the status of all of their documents I need from them across all of the projects that I'm working on with them? Because maybe you have that one contact at Hanson Rigging that you can call and bug and say, hey, I'm missing 4 unconditional lien waivers from you. So it kind of just helps you see everything at a glance here. So that's our vendor tool. And then the last thing I wanted to highlight here is our billing report. So we'll send this out on the 5th of every month, kind of reflecting back on the previous month. And you can see just at a glance, what projects did we bill for? So you'll see the total amount billed for the month. And for these like executives and owners of the company, it's really helpful to just see like, whoa, like we only billed 5 out of our 8 projects. I thought we were billing all of them this month. Did something go wrong? You can see your accounts receivable aging report. So I know this is generated by some of your ERPs, but your teams are spending time kind of massaging this information. So we try to present it to you in a really digestible way that you can just see quickly, okay, what are the jobs that are causing problems for us? And then lastly, a change orders report as well. So you can see how many change orders are approved this month, what's the contract sum to date on all of our jobs. So this is generated automatically on the 5th of the month, reflecting back on the previous, but you can also download it at any time from our system. So really focused on increasing visibility into the billing process and making sure nothing slips through the cracks and the whole team is in the loop on on the billing there. So just really quickly, I'm going to go through kind of some examples and projects that are using Sightline. So today, Sightline is being used on a wide variety of jobs in the US and Canada. We're working with contractors that range in size from 3 to 5 million on that smaller end up to 250 million in ARR. So regardless of if your payoff is a couple $1,000s or a couple $1 million, you still need to put together all of that cumbersome paperwork. So Sightline will save you time regardless of the size of your projects. So we have like some new office complexes, new hospitals, some interior fit out jobs, and some hospital remodels. We also have contractors working on some large airports in California, LAX, SFO. Hopefully some of you guys will be flying through SFO when you come to the Impact Conference in February here. So one of our contractors who's around like 175 in ARR, they manage all of their projects within Sightline. They had a really quick implementation process. Their 20 project managers never even needed a training session because they were like, this is so intuitive and easy to use, we got it. So that was kind of nice. I think a lot with construction, people are hesitant to adopt new software because it takes a lot of time for your teams to kind of figure it out. There's a lot of training sessions and maybe some people aren't even using it. So it doesn't add that much value. And we've seen really quick implementation for Sightline. And then we've also seen some like industrial projects like bus charging stations and train yards. One of our contractors who's on the smaller side, they're about 5 million in ARR now. They're typically a lower tier contractor, but they also need to submit all of the paperwork that the prime contractor requires. So this specific contractor is growing really rapidly, and Sightline has made it really easy for them to train their new project managers. So they don't need to say like, okay, with this general contractor, you need to fill out these forms. This is how you fill them out. You need to include this lien waiver. They just say like, you go into the standard invoice page on Sightline, update what you're billing for and hit a button, and it will generate what you need for the project. So we saved them a lot of time on training their new PMs. Okay, so that was my spiel. I know I ran through everything pretty quickly here. Just to highlight, we are offering a 2-month free trial for all Impact members. So if you're like unsure, hey, is this going to add value to my team? You can test it out for a trial period and really see for yourself. We're currently working with a couple of Impact members right now. Shout out to Bosworth. I don't know if they're on this call. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. I'll be that main point of contact for you guys. So my email is on the screen here along with our phone number. So if you're interested in learning more, we can do more in-depth demos. Just shoot me an email.
Cool. Really well done and really quickly done. Let me a couple of quick questions and something that I'm sure is burning through the people's minds right now. This sounds expensive.
It is not expensive. We try to work with your contractors so that we make sure we're adding value. So we'll figure out how much time savings you have. I don't know if but essentially we base it on the number of projects that you have and your revenue as a company. So we have like a couple tiers and it's just annual. All of our customer support, all of the form building is all included in that number. So we don't we're not pulling a fast one on you or anything.
What we've heard from some of our customers is that Sightline is incredibly good value to compared to other software that they're buying for their company. But
Right.
we'll happy to have any further chats about pricing.
Okay. Are you willing to offer up those testimonials?
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. Yes,
what do you mean? Like,
yeah, we can definitely put you in touch with existing customers.
It's one thing to hear from an active user that's doing it. Along those lines,
yeah, of course.
a colleague of mine brought up the other day, you know, we all get bombarded with emails saying, you know, we've got the latest and greatest software in the construction industry. You're missing out if you don't do it. Why should someone click on the Sightline email and delve further?
I can take this one. I think like I was saying before, I think a lot of the software out there is really heavyweight and takes a lot of time for you to see value. And with Sightline, it's like really easy implementation. It helps kind of improve collaboration. And right now we know like everyone's kind of working from everywhere. So I think the time to value is really quick. You'll save your teams a lot of time and you don't have to worry about training and implementation and stuff like that.
Okay.
And
I
it's
see
pretty lightweight.
you answered a couple of questions online, but let me read it for the benefit of everybody else in the recording. Is Sightline a replacement for traditional construction accounting software, or is it just the billing process? If not, does it sync with traditional accounting software?
So we don't replace traditional accounting software. We like to say we enhance it. So we make it, we replace all of the manual processes that you're doing around the billing process and compliance and vendors. And then we sync with your ERP system to update it. So we try to limit that double entry.
Okay, cool. And Gloria had a similar response, integrates with Viewpoint, Sage, Foundation, QuickBooks, and more. So that's the right answer. Do the trade contractors, the back office, or the PMs go through each contract and build the list of what is needed for each project? If not, who does that?
So our onboarding process for each project is a quick kind of questionnaire. You essentially say like, here's the name of the project. If you've billed for it before, you just upload the most recent pay app package that you submitted, or you upload whatever is required by the GC. We can also just have you upload your contract and we can go through that for you and figure out what exactly is required to get paid. But usually our onboarding is less than 5 minutes per project. So it's just you kind of uploading the requirements for the job and then we add it to the system.
Okay. We are a subcontractor. Some of our GCs already have us billing through Textura and Procore. Your program probably would not be an advantage for us if we already bill through something similar.
So my answer to that is that you have to deal with like the different portals, and I'm sure some of your projects may be manual as well, where you're submitting it via email. So our focus is really giving you one place to manage all of your projects, regardless of the different portals that you're submitting them in. So for one project, as an example, this is a Textura job. You can see instead of having that button that says review and generate forms, it just says sync invoice. So you can still have your team logging into Sightline, updating what they want to bill for, and you just hit that button and it will update those GC portals for you. So it gives you one place where you're in control of everything and you have reminders for everything and you're getting your reports. So it still helps with that billing process, even if you have to use those portals.
Are there any cybersecurity threats associated with your product?
I'm typing an answer, but happy to take this one. So Sightline is run on Google Cloud Platform. It's the most technically advanced cloud computing platform. We use, we have very senior engineers who all come from places like Google and take very seriously privacy and security. So we are following all of the industry best practices, for example, encrypting your data at rest and in transit using AES 256 encryption. All of the things that you would really want one of your software vendors to do, we follow all of those things. So your data is secure. So that's my answer, but I'm happy to answer any questions offline as well.
And then last but not least, from your experience, at what point in the evolution of the subcontracting business would a company find value in this product? By that, I mean a new sub may be billing off the timesheets and or a PO number, so Sightline may not be of value to them. When should a trade contractor consider your product as they grow, when they have annually 10 projects with different pay app processes and requirements, 20, 30? When does it become, when does it pay for the contract?
I'm trying to think of our smallest contractors that are seeing value. I think they probably have like 6 different projects with different requirements. One of them actually has probably 10 jobs, but they all have like similar billing outputs, but it just helps their team kind of stay on top of all of the billing requirements. So I don't think there's any contractor that would be too small. Maybe Gloria will disagree with me on that, but we do have like a quick billing thing to help you generate like quick invoices. But I would definitely say like working with different general contractors and having those like lump sum requirements would be probably like the biggest thing. And in terms of like timing, usually the first month is kind of like that setup phase and you're getting all of your projects added. And the second month is when like everything is on autopilot and you go through it in a breeze. So I think you see the value really in that second month, that like second round of billing that you do in Sightline. But
well, I'll
yeah,
tell you,
hopefully that answers the question.
up. I want to thank you guys for a quick and informative. We believe Sightline is a great product, or you wouldn't be on here. We look forward to seeing you in San Francisco at the Impact Annual Conference, February 20 through the 23rd. And with that, you guys have a great day, and thanks again.